between 6 and 15 million today. I believe the best way then is it's not a problem if the script is good. The script is a key, and the second thing, in my opinion, the editing is very important for the rhythm, and I believe I forgot to tell you this because of the editing. I don't know. I don't think I told you the story of the editing, did I?
From this film?
No.
No.
Of the film Black and White in Color.
Yeah. At the beginning, you told us this.
Because it is interesting that the impact of editing can be so enormous, as proven in this case, and fortunately, in my case, maybe I devote 15 to 20% to the financing maximum, which is still a lot, but for young filmmakers who have not the experience, it is much more, unfortunately. And I believe one has to do then the film in countries or in areas of America where the funding is very much made easier by those rules where you can get tax credits and other means of money. But this is not a subject matter which I feel at ease to discuss in detail, because I believe it's more interesting to talk about creative matters. Although I understand that it is very difficult today, more than ever, to finance independent films.
Is the person.
Because our sources were first-class sources from Cairo, and I didn't ask him, are you the terrorist? But because we happened to have indications which made us sure that he is. Absolutely not. I don't want to talk about it because I'm a personal friend of Steven Spielberg and I have great respect, but I certainly have no great view of that film because it's not authentic, and that's the problem with it. And I believe that our film here has more value because of that authenticity. Now I suggest, if it's okay with you, because you were so brave to be here so long, that you give me 2 more questions, and then I will tell you the 2 questions I was asked coming here. And so you have the first 2 questions, and I have the last 2 questions.
There was one since a long time in the back, yeah.
I think there are 2 totally different areas. Feature film is based on a script from A to Z, it is planned. A documentary is more open to be extended or to be shortened based on the situation of the scenes involved. So the filmmaking of a feature film and the filmmaking of a documentary film are 2 different kinds. In my personal opinion, filmmaking in documentaries is much more difficult and much more time-consuming and much less financially profitable. But very, very meaningful as a document for future times or for present times. Well, to the best of my knowledge, the script in documentary is different from a script for a feature film. The script for a documentary is more indication of whatever in talks is being planned in the film, whatever in views of sceneries which is planned. It's more indication what you see subsequently without going into detail, because the details depend on the people who are interviewed or on the people who are seen or on the scenes which are being photographed. So it's much less a documentary screenplay is maybe in size 1/3 of a feature film screenplay. I have problem with the independent producer is that he needs 3 projects to be sure that he makes one. And I have 2 scripts which are ready to be done. One is based on a Portuguese bestseller, and the other one is based on a bestseller from Poland, which was a wonderful film, a wonderful story. But both were very difficult, and both took a long time to script, especially the one from Poland. It's called The Beautiful Mrs. Seidenman, which was #1 on the bestseller list in 5 European territories for 2 years. And yet it took so long to make a script out of it because it was extremely difficult and complicated. It is the story of a Jewish woman during the Holocaust who denies that she's Jewish in order to survive. And 15 years later, she lives in Poland and she denies again to be Jewish in order to survive, because the anti-Semitism in Poland became as big as it was at the time of Hitler. And finally, she goes to Israel to find her own identity. This is the story of The Beautiful Mrs. Seidenman. The other story is a relationship on a grandfather of a grandchild. A very, very beautiful and very emotional story, which hopefully I will do as next film. But it's far from being sure which one is the next film. And the third one is something I'm developing now, because for an independent producer, if you bet on one, you never make a film, because there are so many elements you need to be acceptable that probably you never make it. But when you have a choice of 3, it's easier, and all of a sudden the third will be done first when you thought that the first one will be done first. So these are surprises which are in the work which you don't foresee before. I want to tell you, for your own benefit, not for the benefit of my biography, what I learned from my father, what I learned from my mother, and what I learned from both. My mother was a poet in what they call in Switzerland cabaret, which doesn't exist here, I believe, in this way. But this is a form in the evening. There are various actors who sing songs or read essays or whatever. There are different ways of cabaret, so I'm not going to go into that. Her famous song was entitled Light and Shadow song implies that every person in life has periods of disappointment, of shadow, meaning things go wrong, things which were hoped for are not being realized, and everything looks like a disaster. And when you have periods of shadow, the song says, you are not allowed to be depressed by it. So when you have problem to finance a film, or you have problem to get a good script, or when you have problem to get a good actor, you are not allowed to get disillusioned and give it up. But you have to believe that after the period of shadow comes a period of light.